My sister-in-law's mocking my modest wedding, and it's making me feel terrible. I think that I'm going to have to cut my sister-in-law off. It's such a shame, because we used to be on good terms. She's someone that I thought I could trust and treat my brother right. Well, now a whole new side of her has been revealed, and I'm worried about my brother. He's confirmed that she has these bullying tendencies, which he's been keeping from us. But now that she has decided to bully me, she's made a huge mistake. The whole thing started when she made comments about my wedding. I just received the pictures of the wedding from the photographer, so I took over some cupcakes that I made and went to my brother's house so that I could show her the pictures. I don't have any close female friends in the city, which is why she was the first person I thought of showing the pictures to. She asked me if she could be honest with me. Well, I told her, yeah, go ahead. That's when she confessed to me that she thought the pictures did not look like they were good, and she felt that I skimped out on quality. She added that she did not want to offend me. Well, you know what? That made me feel pretty terrible. The fact that she did not like the picture, despite all that, I decided to let it go because people are entitled to their own opinions, right? But then, as we continued to look over the pictures, she made some comments about my wedding. From the dress, the catering, and the venue, nothing was safe. She said that I was only getting married once, but I just did not give much thought to how my wedding looked. I told her that while I do respect how she feels, I liked the way that my wedding was set up, and I wanted something classy, something simple, nothing too overwhelming as it's simply not my style. She laughed and said that it was a good thing that my brother did not force her to have me on their wedding planning team, because it was going to be a disaster. By now, I was feeling a bit irritated, so I decided to leave before I said something that I would regret, and I was still feeling upset about this, and right then my brother came to my home. I wanted to stay silent because I did not want them to fight, but I could not stop thinking of the hurtful things that she said about my wedding. It made me feel awful, and now I was questioning if everybody else felt the way that she did. When my brother asked me if I was okay for the third time, I cracked. Told him that I went to visit his wife, and I told him that she had said some things about my wedding that did not sit right with me. I was not sure if she had a malicious intention with the things that she said, but it made me feel bad. My brother lost it. He said that she was always doing this. He told her to stop and to never say this to me, but she still did not listen. So I asked what he meant. Conversations were being had about my wedding, and I had no idea about it. Well, I was concerned now. He confessed that she's been mocking my wedding for being too simple. He told her to cut down on the comments because it was not her wedding, and he apologized for what she said and said that she often had a hard time filtering when it came to her mouth. At the moment, she called him, and he went into another room to answer. His voice, it kept getting angrier and more loud the more that he spoke to her. It became clear that they were arguing. A couple minutes later, he stormed out and he was upset. He asked if he could sleep in the guest room, and I told him that he could. I saw that he was very stressed, so I tried to talk to him about it. That's when he told me that sometimes he hated being married to her because of the way she acted. She had no filter and would sometimes say mean, degrading stuff to him, and he said that in the beginning she only did it when they're private, but lately she starts doing it when they're in public. He said that he was starting to avoid taking her anywhere because she always had something to say about other people. He said that I should not listen to what she said about my wedding. She was just bitter and jealous, and she would have wanted a wedding at the venue where we got married, but it was not available at the time of her wedding. He said that he was going to talk to her tomorrow, but now he just needs some space from her. It turns out that there's so much more that they're fighting about. I decide not to ask much about it because my brother does not like talking about his problems. He only tells me when things get really difficult. So, he spent the night, and when my husband came home, they decided to barbecue some meat and share a few beers. And by the time he went to bed, he felt better. The next day, he went back home, and I forgot about all that his wife said. I decided that it was my wedding. I was happy with the outcome, and her opinion didn't even matter. That's until she sent me a text message raging at me while I was at work. She told me that I was a weak woman, to send my brother to fight my battles, and she added that it's not her fault that I lacked class, and that my wedding sucked. I told her to stop saying that because it's rude, and she laughed at me. She added that the wedding was mediocre and everybody was deeply disappointed. I had to ask her what her problem was with me. We used to be good, now she's bullying me? I also told her I did not appreciate her bullying my brother. He was a nice, soft-spoken person, but I was not. If I heard that she did not stop, then the two of us would fight, and I'll say that I was ready to throw hands with this woman. Where did she get the nerve to attack me like that? The conversation then escalated to the point where she told me to come and fetch my brother's belongings. If he was going to spill secrets about his marriage to his sister, then it would be better if he stayed with her. She then sent me a picture of my brother's clothes outside, and I had to call him and explain the situation at hand. I told him not to allow her to kick him out of his own house that he had before he met her, and he said it's okay, she would calm down and he would handle the situation. I asked him to be honest with me. Did she do things like this normally? He said that sometimes she gets so upset that she tells him to leave, but she always changes her mind. I told him that better be the case because there's no way I was going to allow her to treat him like that. Several hours later, he showed up at my house with his clothes because she kicked him out. That was a big mistake on her part. She had no idea what she had just done. I'd only been married for a while, but I've seen other people who are married. When she did something like this, was doing nothing more than driving him away. One day he was going to stop begging her and come back to her, and that would be the end of the marriage. So for now, my brother's staying with us. He was so shocked when I cooked food for both of them several times today, he said that his wife preferred takeaway, or for him to do the cooking. He said that when he married her, she claimed that she loved cooking and taking care of those that she loved. After that, she became very lazy and put in no effort. She clearly does not want to remain married to my brother if she's still treating him like that. I would prefer it if he left her, but that's his choice. I can't tell him who he can and cannot be married to. I can just support him and hope that one day he'll come to his senses. Update number 1. It's been a month since my brother moved out of his own house. He's going back today because they seem to have talked things through, and her family ended up getting involved, and they were just a bunch of bullies as well. It worked out in our favor because they did not agree with what their daughter was doing. They tried to make it look like she was acting from a place of hurt because my brother did not support her. When my parents found out the whole thing was caused by my sister-in-law saying nasty things about my wedding, they lost it. Right to her family, they told them that they could not blame all this on me, their daughter needs to go to therapy. They then said that it's clear that she acted that way because of the type of family that she came from. For context, the meeting was held at my home. I cooked a lot of food for everybody along with refreshments, of course, and there was a mini brawl in my house when my family said that. Several things were broken, and I was extremely upset by the outcome. While her family had been the ones to initiate the conversation and claimed that they were not on her side, it sure did not seem like it. It was clear that they only came here to fight and to belittle my brother. The lion and my husband came out once people started getting physical. He said that if no one could act cordial, then it was best if they all left. They were making me upset and breaking things in my house, and I was so thankful to him for putting into words what I wanted to say. I could not even say what I wanted to because I was so angry, so they left. A couple days later, another meeting was scheduled at a public place. Everybody was forced to be civil since we were in a public space, and they were the first ones to extend an olive branch. They claimed that it saddened them that their daughter's marriage was on the line. They really wanted everything to go back to normal, so they would make her apologize for kicking him out, and when my parents asked if she was also going to apologize for what she said about my wedding, they said that she did not see anything wrong with it. At this point, I was tired of this back and forth. I didn't like her, but I also did not want my brother to end up divorced because of my beef with his wife. That's when I made the ultimate sacrifice. I said that she did not have to apologize for what she said and that I wanted to get things back to normal for the sake of the family. Therefore, my brother is going back to live with her. He seems to be in good spirits at least, and I feel bad about sending him back to that crazy woman. But he's not said that he doesn't want to go. I'm sure that absence has been good for their relationship, and she's learned something from it. Update number 2. If there is one thing I love, it's that being the big person always pays off. About 3 months ago, I was sad because I never got an apology from my sister-in-law. Not only that, but she continued to treat me differently when nobody was around. I didn't tell anyone because I did not want to cause problems within the family. She was a bully and her parents enabled her, and I could deal with it. Every time she came to my house, she had something negative to say. If she did not like the curtains, it was the position of the chairs or the color I chose for the house. She constantly made me feel inferior and bragged that her husband never gave her a budget with doing decor. It's worth noting that my brother has a higher paying job than myself and my husband, and he's an older person and is into investments, and she has quite the nest, you know. I've never competed with him because I know that we're in different tax brackets. This is something that his wife does not seem to comprehend. She takes any chance that she can to mock me and put her nose up everything that I do. I've gotten to the point of ignoring her and treating her commentary as background noise. But now the days come when I can laugh in her face, and I have. She's speechless for the first time in her life, and I love it. I knew that her bullying behavior was going to have an effect on her relationship eventually. It's her own fault that her husband's found himself in the arms of another woman, his high school sweetheart. Her name is Linda, and she left the country right after she finished high school. She comes from a very good family and has always been well-mannered. Well, guess what? She moved back into town not so long ago and reconnected with my bro. She never married nor had kids, and she was single as a Pringle. They became friends again and began to reminisce about their high school years. My brother was so heartbroken when they had to break up. She used to make him so happy, and we always thought that they would get married. After her, his taste in women declined till he married the worst of them all. Now, that's no longer the case because she's just been served divorce papers because he wants to get back with Linda. My brother said that when he told her about it, she grabbed a knife and started chasing him around the house. He had to beg her not to do anything drastic. She was mad because she was convinced that he was a cheater. He and Linda have not even had their first date yet. They have feelings for each other, but Linda refuses to act on them because he is married. My respect for her has greatly increased because of that, and she's always been a respectful person with very strict morals, and I'm glad that she's not lost that. The person who's losing it is my sister-in-law, who had been calling and texting us to let us know what my brother's done. She tried to kick him out of the house, but this time he stood his ground, told her that she was the one who needs to leave. He told her that she would be well taken care of after the divorce, but the house was his. She then tried to trash the house and stalk him, so he had to call the cops to get her off his property. I then had the misfortune of running into her when I was doing some shopping. When she saw me, she practically launched at me. She said that she thought we were sisters, so why did I not tell her that her marriage was in trouble? Well, I told her the truth. I had no idea that my brother had another woman in his life. Now, it made sense why his mood had drastically changed. He was happier these days, and did not seem so gloomy at all. It confused me because Jenna's attitude had not changed. It had in fact become worse, and now she was paying for it. I told her that I had no answers for her and needed to go back home. She grabbed my arm and told me that I was not going anywhere without telling her what she wanted to hear. Well, I ignored her and made my way to the checkout. She was hot on my heels, and she was not happy at all. Everybody in the store was giving her the dirty eye because of how loud she was being, but she didn't care. I left the store and made my way to the car. She followed me, and as I was about to get into my car, she grabbed me and then slapped me. She told me that I had to listen to her when she was talking, or we were going to have problems. I smiled at her and said, sure. Then I reached for my keys and then sprayed her with mace. She screamed as it made contact with her eyes, and I pushed her out of the way, got into my car, and drove off. I've not heard anything from her since, but my heart's still pounding very fast. I can feel it. I've been wanting to shut her off for a long time. She chose the wrong day to mess with me, and I immediately told my husband and brother what happened, and they agreed that I was just defending myself. I've had enough of that woman. I'm so glad that my brother is leaving her. Update number 3. Hey guys, it's been nearly a year. I know, I suddenly remembered about this post and that I've not updated it. So much has been going on, but I've also been focused on my life. I tried to keep my nose down out of other people's business because myself and my husband have been working toward a lot. He and his brother are both in the engineering profession and have decided to team up and start a business. I've been helping them out with some things so that I can alleviate the pressure on my husband. While this has been happening, my brother's life has been in utter chaos. He tried to have an amicable divorce with his wife, but she was not having it. She tried to take all of his money, citing that he was a cheater. Firstly, he was not cheating, he was just emotionally cheating. Not to victim blame, but if she had been nicer to him and a better wife, he would not have had the time, to develop these feelings for anyone else. Cheating is wrong, and I don't condone it, but what's happened here is a unique situation. She tried to sue my brother for everything, even after he offered her more than 20% of his estate and a monthly alimony. In the end, she had no choice but to accept the offer and also give up the home. She fought really hard, tooth and nail, for the house, but I urged my brother not to let her have it just to spite her. She's always been so proud of that house, as if she was the one who built it, and if she kept it, I would have been crushed. After several months of this, they were finally divorced, and my brother was finally free to have a relationship with a woman that he loved. She moved back in with her parents, and I've not seen her in town. That is, until yesterday, when she caused quite a scene at my brother's wedding, and because of her, he was going to lose all that he had worked toward. All of his happiness was so close to vanishing because she did not want anyone to be happy. What happened was that during the wedding, she showed up. She looked heavily pregnant, and everybody was staring at her. When I saw it, my heart sank as I immediately realized what this could mean. She was pregnant and was not going to leave my brother alone anytime soon. They would be stuck together, cooperating, and he would never be free of her. When she looked at me, she had this very smug expression right there on her face, and this time she really got us. We had relaxed, thinking that she was out of our lives forever, and now I guess you could say she's back with a vengeance. I could not let my brother see her, as that would ruin the wedding, so I discreetly made my way over to her and told her to follow me. She gave me a dirty look, but she complied. A couple of minutes later, we were outside arguing in a physical altercation. I tried to be careful due to the fact that she was indeed pregnant, and I told her that she has to leave and that she could do this another time, but not now. Well, guess what? Right then, Linda and my brother came strolling out of the church. Linda said she saw me leaving with Jenna and she was concerned. Jenna smiled at her and said that she had every right to be concerned. She then looked at my brother and smiled before pointing at her belly and saying, "Surprise!" He turned pale as a ghost and looked like he was going to vomit. Right then, more family members joined us, and I told them that this was not the right time, and that I would get her to leave, but Linda starts asking questions about the pregnancy and why she kept it a secret. My mom, on the other hand, was looking at her with a very calculated look. She seemed to be very suspicious of this pregnancy, and the next thing I knew, my mother had gone up to her and laid a hand on her stomach. She then reached under her shirt and pulled out something. We gasped at some cloth coming out of her belly, and my mother just laughed and told her that she could not fool her. You must be curious as to how my mother knew about it. Well, a couple of weeks ago, my mother was in her hometown and she went to the beach. Guess who she spotted in a bikini with no big belly at all? My sister-in-law. My mother decided not to speak to her because she knew that the conversation would not end well between them. Now, she was suddenly showing up several months pregnant on the day that her ex was getting married. Yeah, right. She really had the nerve to fake a pregnancy. I know that I would never. It really goes to show how deep her control issues ran. So, how was she going to go about it? What would happen when she had to go for scans and then give birth? She looked embarrassed and on the verge of tears. She looked at my brother and said that she was sorry for doing all this. He's been ignoring all her calls and texts, but she wanted to get back to him. She starts to cry in front of everyone and said that she did not care what anyone else thought, but she really loved Jonathan and the life, well, it's been hell without him. She said that she was willing to work on her attitude problem if he would just give her one more chance. He just stood there and stared at her, not even saying a word. Her words were falling on deaf ears and she could see it. So her final act to save herself was to forcefully kiss him in front of all of us. The next thing we knew, she was being pushed off him and was sent flying towards a wall. Linda then followed with a slap and a hair pull. Luckily, my mom managed to stop the two of them from getting into a big fight. My husband then told my former sister-in-law that she could either be left alone or be escorted out of the wedding. She could choose, which was less humiliating. She left, but I could tell that she was not done yet. The problems are only just now starting. Update number 4. I've never been as scared as I am today. My heart cannot settle down and I'm scared. I wish that cops could take this seriously, but they don't. They don't understand the gravity of the situation and I'm afraid for my brother. I knew that this was not the end when she showed up to the wedding. It was just the beginning. I'm a woman too and understand deeply how crazy love can make us sometimes. I speak for myself and not for other women though. Usually, when I realize that I'm getting a little bit too obsessed with someone and feelings are not being returned, I make myself scarce. Love is a good feeling to have, but the most important is self-love and respect, and if someone says that they do not want to see you or be with you, they mean it. They don't mean that you have to kidnap them and cause worry to their family. That's what happened today. My brother got into a crash and was rushed to the hospital. Somebody at the hospital called my former sister-in-law, and she remembered that they were married and had no idea that they even broke up. Split down the middle. Jenna was then able to get access to his room and took him home while he was unconscious. The doctors and nurses had no idea. Later on, when his scan came back, the doctor found out that he was not there. That's when they looked at his records and found my number. So they called me. Obviously, I dropped everything to check what was going on. When I got there, I got them to check the footage, and sure enough, she came and took my brother. I had no idea where she was staying, so I notified the cops, relatives, and friends, and I tried to call her, but my call did not go through. I was shaking the whole time, imagining what she must have been doing to him, and I knew that my brother and his wife should have moved to a new city and not told anyone who was not family. I knew she was going to come back and try this because she's insane. Right now, we have no idea where my brother is, and I'm going mad with worry and hope that he'll be back soon. I'm going to make sure that she goes to jail for a very long time for what she has done. Update number 5. It's the next morning and my brother has thankfully been found and she's behind bars. We've talked to lawyers about a restraining order and it looks promising. She was not even smart about her kidnapping and he says that he woke up in a motel where she tied him up and refused to let him go until he agreed to divorce Linda and marry her again. He tried to argue with her and say no several times, but she would not have it. Soon enough, the cops tracked her phone to the motel, and in addition, some people have reported seeing her at the motel. Her plan was very poorly constructed, and it relied on him somehow getting convinced that she loved him. However, she also had a plan B, which she luckily did not get to use. They found some dangerous substances in her motel room, and they believed that she wanted to unalive both of them if he did not get back with her. As soon as she was taken away, my brother was taken to the hospital, where he was treated for his injuries. Finally, we could all breathe a sigh of relief that he was safe. His wife was livid and said that she would use her connections to make sure that Jenna never came near him again. She comes from a very connected family, so I know that she'll be able to do it. In the past, Jonathan prevented her from doing it because he thought it was a little bit too dramatic, but now has agreed that this needs to be done. She's a danger to herself and to others. Final update. It's been a week after her arrest, and she's been released. As soon as she was released, her parents took her away, and they promised that she was never going to come back to this town again. They're going to make sure that they're tracking her all the time, and she does not leave the house without an escort. It appears that the news of what she did reached her parents and other people in town. They were very embarrassed by her actions and were very close to having her admitted. I think that she needs some psychological help. The behavior that she's displaying is consistent with a control freak. At least now she's out of our lives and we can finally carry on. To celebrate, my husband, my brother, and his wife are having a couple's getaway to our parents' holiday home. It's been a very hectic year, even for myself and my husband. At least now, business is booming for him, and we're starting to have some more disposal income. I'm very proud of him for working so hard so that when we have kids, we'll not have to worry about money. At least I can say that I do not regret getting married to him, even if someone thought the wedding was not up to standard. So today's story is the prime perfect example of karma. I cannot believe what this sister-in-law was up to. We're talking about holding somebody hostage, and she ends up going to jail for it. She lost her marbles. Her husband left her, now there's restraining orders, and it's just a huge mess. I want to know your thoughts on today's story. Put yourself in OP's position, and having to deal with this sister-in-law must have been an absolute nightmare, but I want to know what you guys would have done. My name's Mr. Reddito. If you guys are new to the channel, I want to welcome you. I do these stories every day, animated drama stories, so if you do enjoy them, go ahead subscribe to the channel for daily videos. Guys, have a great day. I'll see you tomorrow, and of course remember, it's cool to be kind. See ya.